beginner's guide into Polymarket. You type in polymarket.com and you sign in with your email or with the extension of one of your crypto wallets. Then a deposit button shows up and you can choose between crypto, you can choose between different tokens on different chains. You can use the QR code, the address to where to send your crypto. You can also use bank card, Visa, and you also top up through PayPal. Once that's done, search for whatever event you're searching for. Let's go for Super Bowl champions in 2026, the highest volume right now. And if you bet on Kansas City, you think that they're gonna win, you choose how much money you wanna bet on that outcome. Let's say $2, buy, accept, and it's done. Thanks for watching. Just kidding. My name is Zhenya. I'm a former software engineer turned founder of a crypto mobile trading app called APIN. Today we're looking at Polymarket. It became popular at the late 2024 when elections of US presidents were taking place, and all of the journalists, all the polling, everything was showing and pointing at the victory of Kamala. However, on Polymarket, it was saying the opposite, that current president going to win. And Polymarket is more fair because it's based on blockchain technology. It's undercover, it's a Polygon blockchain, which is Ethereum level 2 blockchain. And also there is UMA protocol where the resolutions actually happens. And it's people voting for yes or no of an outcome. So you're not trading against certain market, you're not trading against a sports bookie. People vote, they can buy yes or they can buy no shares. And we know how the results of that election turned out. And after that, people started to look seriously at Polymarket, and because there people commit actual money for the events. And if someone has an insider information, because it's based on blockchain, they can still put money on certain outcome. However, in stocks, that might not necessarily drive the price higher. On Polymarket, it will drive the price higher. And even they are an insider, you can still see what would the outcome likely to happen. And of course, insider will always make sure that the market is on their side because they will be putting more and more money and continuing maybe buying that position. So unfortunately, Polymarket is not available right now in the United States. However, I know some people, they are just using VPNs. And you also can access Polymarket through a Polycule Telegram bot. Polymarket recently acquired CFTC registered exchange. That's the same way Kalshi is operating. They just received the registration from CFTC, and soon, once the finalization of the registration completes, Polymarket will be available in the US. So let's open Polymarket again and see what's happening on the website. You can see here at the top, we have different categories. We have politics, sports, and finance, and those three tend to be the highest by volume. More people participate in that. The markets are the most liquid, and you will see how and why it's important, depending on how much money you're trying to place on your convictions. We also have geopolitics, earnings. One of the fun ones is mentions. If we explore a little bit what's happening in earnings, for example. So politics looks the same as the main page, where you have different events where you can choose whether it's different parties in different countries, not necessarily in the US. Sports is games of different divisions and associations. We have finance, it's earning calls, it's the stock prices. For crypto, it's mostly where the price of X going to be, or whether there will be a token launch for a certain project. Geopolitics, meetings between politicians, that's just anything that falls under geopolitics. Earnings is very nicely done in a calendar way, so you can see when is certain earnings going to take place. And again, if you have an insider information, if you are an executive or VP of certain company and you know those data, you can use crypto to commit crime. Tech is different tech events. For example, whether Tesla will launch a robotaxis, that is a big one. And we also have mentions is if someone will mention certain words when they will be providing a speech. When the president says something, or if the Jerome Powell will say something, that's the one we see here. So if we click on one of the events, for example, the Super Bowl championship in next year, this is the view that we have. We have the chart of what are the chances of certain outcomes on different day. We have the main panel where you can quickly place a trade. And as I mentioned, it's people buying yes votes versus no votes. If you don't think that this will be the outcome, then you will buy the no. If you think that's the yes, you buy yes. And it's very similar to options, because you essentially buying a contract that has a expiration date, because there will be a point at the time in the future when this outcome going to happen. The price varies based on this time. The closer it is to the date, the more information comes in that time, the more likely we're going to gravitate towards certain outcome. That's why it's important to manage your position wisely and keep it in mind what's happening. And you cannot just set it and forget it. You cannot just DCA. This is not a strategy to do on prediction markets. When you open a certain event, is you need to scroll down, because you can see that there are multiple options. If you click on individual one, you'll get this view. This is the order book. And in order book shows us how many people are betting on which levels, on which price levels. Here we have 3 columns: price, shares, and total. So price is what the price is, and shares is how many shares of, for this case is yes, are available at this price. So if we think that the Kansas City will win, we can buy right now this shares of yes for 12 cents. And if they do win, we will receive $1 at the end of the victory. That's how this market going to resolve. All those who bought the winner will be getting $1 for each share that they purchase. So if you bought 5 shares, each 12 cents, and then you will receive $5 worth at the end of the Super Bowl. However, you spend only 60 cents. Total is the product of the price and the shares. So if we take 2,100 times 0.12, the result will be 252. And the reason why it's important to look at this book, and you cannot just blindly throw any money when you placing your bets, is because if you want to put, let's say, $1,000 on the victory of Kansas City, and if you look down in the book, you see that at these 12 cents, it's only $252 available. So what will happen is, out of your 1,000, $252 will be filled at this price, 12 cents. But then there is no more orders at 12 cents. So the price will need to move above to the next level, to 13 cents, at which point we have 2,700. And part of your 1,000 will be filled at the 13 cents. So when Kansas City wins, you think that you're winning 88 cents, but only part of your bet resolves to 88 cents. Most of it will be 87 cents. And that's why it's important to look how much money you want to contribute and what's available right now in the books. And if you want to put even bigger amount of money, it will end up raising price much higher. So always look at the total, how much it's available. Polymarket shows you that total volume right below the market. So in this case, Kansas City has 2 million of volume, and further teams have a smaller volume. And in the main page of Polymarket, we can see the volume right there at the bottom left corner. So we have 32 million, 6 million, 75 million. So the more volume there is, Super Bowl champion 2026 right now has the highest volume on Polymarket, has 524 million. The smaller volumes, like this one, 6,000, it shows that there is very small liquidity available. Now, the next thing that's very important to look at, all the way at the bottom, you will see rules, and you open it and you read exactly the word for word what the outcome should be to win, because otherwise you don't know what you're throwing your money at. For some things, there might be outcomes, like in the terms of Super Bowl, it's easy who's the winner, but then there are more specific markets, like for example, what's the Bitcoin price going to be? We have all these options, and 150, 140, it has different volume. A volume is that's the sum of all the orders available, including limit orders for this level. And if you scroll lower, you can see that it's specific exchange, in this case Binance. The pair is with USDT, not with USDC or anything else. We know that in October 10, when we had a huge liquidation event, You can check our deep research on that topic. On Binance, the prices wicked even lower compared to all the other exchanges because of the mismatch of how Binance was pricing their collateral. For Bitcoin here, it's not only which exchange, which pair, but also the time. So for this price, let's look at whether Bitcoin will reach $130,000, and which means 19% chance. It means that if you want to buy yes shares, they will cost 19 cents. So in the bottom, you can see that rule have changed. And now it says from December 30th, 2024 until December 31st, 2025. So they just give the whole 2025 year. The specific time zone, the price will hit 130. However, if we do 120, which is most likely, it has 38% as of now. Time horizon now changed from November 5th to December 31st. So you have to always pay attention to what the rules are of certain event, because there might be certain differences that might end up changing your strategy. There are different types of markets, not only by categories, but you can have multiple options like we saw in the case of Bitcoin price, but there can be simple ones, whether it's yes or no. Like this one, will the new country join Abraham Accords? And it's either simple yes or no. Now, once you place the position, here's how to manage it. And you don't necessarily have to wait for the resolution of the event. You don't need to wait for the winners of the Super Bowl. You don't need to wait for end of certain wars. You can just go into your profile. And here's that position that you took place in. You click on that position, you have the full screen opens up. Then the outcome that you chose, you will see that where you voted and how much you put into that. You will see this little label. It's very important to click on that row, because when we choose different outcomes of this event, this right panel on the right changes. You can see as I'm clicking, it's changing right now. Our position is 25 basis points decrease of the Fed decision. If I selected it, because I own those yes shares, now I have that position. Now I switched from buy to sell. It shows my balance, 1.4 shares. And I can just, if I want to close position completely, I'll just say max and I press sell. And that's it. I will be out of the position. I don't need to wait for the resolution. Let's say if I'm in profit, because you don't need to wait for the finish and resolution of the event. If you're in profit, just take those profits depending on your strategy and risk. But as always, it's always good to take profit, because profits are 100% yours. Polymarket also gives us options not only buy and sell, but also you can place limit orders. In case you don't need to fill your order at the current prices, maybe the liquidity is not there yet, maybe the market was just open and there's just very thin liquidity, not possible for you to put however amount of money you want to bet on certain event. You can put some limit orders and just wait until price reaches that level. It's very convenient if you're coming from trading, so you can plan ahead and place those orders in the future. And if you want to learn about different trading strategies on Polymarket, different tools to analyze the market, analyze the chain, you can click this video. I've gathered all of the available strategies for you to watch in one video. And just like many apps in crypto, Polymarket allows you to make money not only through trading, but also through providing liquidity. You can provide liquidity if you go to your profile, rewards, and you will see a table of all of the markets available right now. And they will be sorted from the least liquid. So we want to sort them by the most liquid one with the highest volume, because that's where your limit orders have less chances to be executed. So we sort them by the reward. So now we have these markets and we see the max spread. I will tell a little bit later what that means. The minimum shares is how much minimum you have to provide. The reward that you will receive for providing liquidity for that market. And competition. Competition is very important. I would say it's the second after the reward. How many market makers already participating in that specific market? It's better to participate, of course, where there is less competition. Earnings is how much you'll be making by providing the liquidity, and the percent is once you have the limit orders, it will show here. So let's look at the will the government shut down end before during November 12 to 15. We have yes 96 cents and no 3 cents. If we click on the chevron, these are the yes and these are the no's below 96. And this is why max spread is important. In order to receive rewards from Polymarket and earn trading fees, you have to place your limit order within that bound of 3 cents. So in that case, 96 to 99 or 96 to 93. As a market maker, you make money from price ranging. So the limit orders that you're going to set up, you don't want the price to actually hit them. But Polymarket, on the other hand, they want people to have those limit orders for you to provide the liquidity. And 3 cents is very tight, so it's very big chance that they will get executed. So you always need to keep an eye on your positions and on your limit orders if you're providing liquidity, because if the orders gets executed, you end up inheriting that position. So in case of government shutdown, we have 96% of people voting that it will end between 12 and 15. As a market maker, you will be placing your limit order in that range higher than 96. If you want to take the opposite and provide market on the lower, you will be setting buy orders. So when someone comes in and they want to vote for this event, they want to buy the yeses, and the price will start moving up. That's when the Polymarket wants to make sure that there are some orders to be sold to him. And that's when your limit order for selling will get executed of that new person buying it from you. Now, since Polymarket is on chain, we can actually look at individual wallets and see who's profitable, who's losing money. And to find that, you go into your profile, you go into leaderboard, and you will see the list of the profitable wallets. If you sort by all, we have these top 3 wallets. You can see that their profit, the top one is 22 mil, second is 16 mil, the third one is 8 mil. And if we look at individual, what have they done in the past, where they bet their money? If we look at the first one, we can see that they made most of their money on the presidential election last year. They were betting on the popular vote, and they bought yes at 37 cents, which means that when they opened the chart, when they opened that market, it was saying there is 37% chance that current president will win popular vote. You can see that the majority of people are voting for the Kamala, and it's not a small gap, it's 63%. And that turns out to be positive, and they made 170% on their money, turning 4.8 mil into 13 mil. They also voted for the Kamala, and the third one, they voted for the win in general. You can see how in the election you can increase your bet, because you can at the same time vote for the opposite event happening with the other contenders and participants of the elections. That was the first largest wallet. The second one, also you can see that it was all political, and the third one was also political, voting for 41 cents, 39 cents, 63. So both 41 and 39, it means that they were on the minority, in the minority, and voting for events that didn't look like likely to happen. Now, if we look at the last month, what's happening, it's a completely different list. And when we look at the first wallet, we can see that this person is being more conservative. At least they are not taking the 30 chances, the 20 chances, they're taking the 50 chances. So they will bet 50 cents and they will win $1, which basically 2x their money. And you can see here they bet 700K and they won 1.4. The second wallet is the professional in esports, because all of their wins recently came from esports events and they just nailed so many outcomes. You can see they are betting both 47% chances for this market and 81 cents and 73 cents for these markets. So they're being even more conservative because they go into the chart. They already know some information about the sports itself, but also when they go, they see that there is 73%, 78%, and they just bet on those outcomes because of the knowledge that they have. And that way, they're being more conservative, and that's why you see they only make 27% and 37% on their bets. The third wallet is very interesting. The nickname is Swiss Tony. And what's interesting is they also do a lot of sports. However, you can see that they've done 8,000 predictions compared to the previous two wallets that only did 86 and 81 prediction. This account did 100 more predictions. So just big volume. Maybe it's a group of people doing different events, but it's also mostly sports. That's all about Polymarket. And if you learned something new, press a like and leave a comment whether you want to hear more about other prediction markets like Kalshi or Limitless. See you in the next video.